darling. I've waited so long for this.
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh, yes.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, yes.
This doll is fantastic.
Yes, it's brilliant.
You put it it's very tasty. Best doll I've ever had in my life. Very good. That's fantastic.
Tyrannosaurus Rex, the most feared dinosaur of its time. Fast, strong, and deadly. A predator without peer.
Wow.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it also had a 15-foot penis.
This doll is fantastic. It's really brilliant doll.
Tracy, meet Glenn. Let's play Family Favourites. We asked 100 people, what's your favourite sexual position?
This doll is fantastic. This is much better. Better than all the filth that's on the television. Good family game and also educational.
Ha! It's yoga.
This doll is fantastic. It's really wonderful. Where did you get it from?
Darling.
This doll is fantastic.
Is fantastic. Oh yes, this doll is fantastic. Hello everyone and welcome to another Fowl Original with me, Fowl Original, in Fowl Original's Newsround, a nightly show which tonight, unfortunately, I was late getting back from being out and about. I will talk about that in a Fowl Original Bureau, which will be happening right after this, once I figure out how to get just back to Periscope again. Now this should be going out live to the YouTubes and to the Periscopes. So for the YouTubers out there, I can't see your chat right now because I have rushed in to do this, but for the YouTubers, please subscribe, like and share for anybody that you feel would like this content, and for all the Periscopers, feel free to retweet, etc. So let's get right into the show. So I've made up some stuff in advance. I've got one more thing that I want to do along the way, but tonight's top story, and it really is a top story, isn't it, is the story of the car crash in Westminster. It's crazy. So I'm going to bring up the news story, but basically, like, kind of what I've said here is that the police are treating this as a terrorist attack. There has been some new there's some new stuff that's popped up just as we've got it, so I want to get that up as well. Now we have got a new segment tonight as well, so I'm going to hopefully break this whole show up a little bit more, if I can get. Nope, that's not how we did. Let's get up the article. So and this is, as I said, it's news that was changing all over the day, but I find out about this in the morning, so it happened quite early. Hello there, Ben's Lists. Let's pop my... Ooh. Let's bring that up a little bit. Oh, we're in the wrong one. As I said, I've rushed back to do this because I really wanted to make sure they do the news. So, Westminster car crash, man arrested on suspension of terror offences. Ooh, I brought it over, haven't brought it over, there we go. Man arrested on suspicion of terror offences. The car can be seen crashing into a barrier. So I'm just going to quickly read you an overview of what happened this morning. So a man has been arrested on suspicion of terrorism offences after a car crashed outside the Houses of Parliament. So this is a big deal. This is a really big deal. The vehicle swerved into cyclists and pedestrians shortly after 7:30 AM British Standard Time (GMT) injuring 3 people. I'm just going to try and get your chat up here. The 29-year-old suspect is not believed to be known to MI5 or counter-terrorism police and is not cooperating with officers. Searches are taking place in Birmingham and Nottingham. Now, quickly, just to briefly say, obviously I had an alibi. I was sleeping. And also, my other alibi is that I'm not a terrorist. As much as people think that I probably am, I'm not. I'm not. Unfortunately, I didn't get invited to that. There we go. Let's. Should pop up the chat here. It better had low battery on the phone. The 2 people were treated in hospital for their injuries but discharged. Scotland Yard's head of counter-terrorism, Assistant Commissioner Neil Basu, said, "Given that this appears to be a deliberate act, the method and this being an iconic site, we are treating it as a terrorist incident." So we're taking it from amber to red. Where we're going up the scale of colours. Scotland Yard's head of counter-terrorism, we just read that. He added that there was no intelligence at this time of further danger to London or the UK as a whole. Which my brother lives in London, so I remember the second I heard this, like, luckily he doesn't work in the Houses of Parliament, but I was slightly concerned, and I didn't even really know about this. I was awake at quite late today, actually, doing some Instagram stuff, and someone that I met today actually was telling me about the Westminster car crash, and I remember thinking, you are more terrible than terrorist. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna briefly take some time to actually ask some questions. We've got a little bit of a longer show tonight because I started a bit later. So, no one else in the car and no weapons have been found. The government had a meeting of its Cobra, and I love the fact that, I believe this was brought in by David Cameron, that there is an emergency committee that work for the British government, the good guys, called Cobra. Because the Cobra commander is from G.I. Joe. So when I think of Cobra, I think of the bad guys. So we're the bad guys. Anyway, the government held a meeting of its Cobra Emergency Committee, and the Prime Minister has paid tribute to the formidable courage and professionalism of the emergency service. It has been very low-key. Emergency services who ran towards a dangerous situation in order to protect the public, urging the public to remain vigilant but carry on as normal. Theresa May added for the second time in as many years, the home of our democracy, which is a potent symbol of our precious values and tolerance of freedom, has witnessed terrible scenes just yards from its door. The suspect, who has not been formally identified, is being held at a South London police station, and the vehicle is being searched. Sources say he is from the Birmingham area. There's a lot of Asians in Birmingham that I would believe potentially are radicalised, and it is the summer holidays, so you can see a few people being a little bit stupid. Security Minister Ben Wallace told Parliament is closed down for the summer, which is a bit of a stupid thing. All of it is stupid, but it kind of looks more towards, and I will talk about this briefly once we get through this story, but Security Minister Ben Wallace told the BBC the suspect was British but originally from another country, which brings in a lot of that dual citizenship issues, and it also really does bring about a wave of xenophobia when you think about it, because it's like, oh, it wasn't from round here, he was one of them immigrants. The suspect on the right of the image can be seen being taken away by the police, and only the area around the scene of the crash remains sealed off. A number of eyewitnesses have said the silver Ford Fiesta, which was travelling westbound in Parliament Square, appeared to deliberately hit members of the public as it swerved into the opposite lane. That's the bit, the indiscriminate killing of pedestrians. I'm going to keep going through the story. Footage, because when I read this, I was a bit like, geez. Footage released by the BBC shows the moment when the car then crosses over a traffic stand in the middle of the road before crashing into the security barriers. A police officer can be seen jumping over another barrier to get out of the way. Police have released more details about the car's movements before the crash. So this is all stuff that's come in since. But the Ring of Steel in London means that the cars don't get in or out without APR recognition. So, I mean, it's a bit of a stupid thing to do anyway. The car travelled from Birmingham to London on Monday night, arriving in the capital just after midnight. The vehicle was in the Tottenham Court Road area from approximately 1:25 a.m. British Standard Time until 5:55 a.m. Scouting out the area, I guess. It was then driven around the Westminster and Whitehall area from approximately 6 a.m. until the incident. And you can see cyclists were seen on the ground after the crash. Westminster Tube Station was closed for entry and exit, and sheeps around Millbank and Parliament Square cordoned off for several hours. Several hours after the crash. The immediate area around the incident remains taped off and screened by white temporary fencing. Parliament is not currently sitting. So that's the, obviously Parliament aren't there, and we've got some eyewitnesses here. A man and woman were taken to hospital and later discharged, while a third person with minor injuries was assessed at the scene. I ran for my life, eyewitness accounts. Oh, let's just get myself back on so I can see you guys in the chat. It seems as if my internet's being a little bit stupid. Let's just see what I'm connected to. Well, I'm connected to the fastest internet, so it's just being stupid, so I can't see your messages. So let's just quickly run through. Barry Williams, a BBC member of staff based at Millbank, said, "I heard lots of screams and turned around." So these are just some eyewitness reports, and I don't really want to go through them because it is kind of going through a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff, but I want to briefly just kind of talk about that actually, because there are some things. Let's see if I can close Periscope and get it back up. Oh, actually, I can probably just bring up the chat if I do this. Let's bring up the chat so we can see what you guys are saying, because I feel a little bit bad otherwise. And there we are. There we are. And there. Oh, not that. And here we are. As I said, I'm working with the format on this. So let's see if you guys pop up in the chat in Periscope. Looks like you do. So I'm going to pop in hi. If people want to pop something in the chat now, hopefully it will work. Let's see if I can get Periscope back up. And I'll go back. So as I said, this story to me it's a very weird one, because going to the next part of the story, which is kind of an addendum to this, which I do want to talk about some conspiracy theories and stuff in a second, but first of all, let's just get the addendum up. So I had another article which has been reported by the Express, and it's a very weird thing. It's almost like Boris Trump's brother. There we go. I've got Trump's brother. There you go. I've got your chat up now, everybody. So BBC Breakfast. I can see you guys. Thank you very much. Let's pop this up for you. Let's get this story. So this is from theexpress.co.uk, and it's BBC Breakfast. Where are you? Viewers slam BBC over Westminster coverage. BBC Breakfast viewers were outraged this morning. When the Thank you very much, Delightful. We're going to hopefully do this every night, Monday to Thursday, Thursday being an extended version, and hopefully some good news. But BBC Breakfast viewers were outraged this morning when the morning news programme failed to do rolling coverage on this morning's Westminster crash. Viewers took to Twitter to voice their complaints. Now, let's just quickly have a little look at this video. So, it's handy that it indicate, yeah, it is, isn't it? So let's just pop this out.
Dogs have also been
hopefully you can see this, then I can get my sound
very much an ongoing
so I can hear it.
Few details about what actually happened and why this might have happened, but we do know a man has been arrested after a car crashed into security barriers, and as you can see quite clearly, just outside the Houses of Parliament this morning. We'll keep you up to date. As soon as we get more details, we will bring them to you here on Breakfast.
Okay, so that was, I'm just looking at the timestamp. So that was at 8:10, and let's get you guys back, let's get the chat back up. That was at 8:10, so that is half an hour after the crash has happened. Now, BBC News is a magazine show, very similar to the One Show. So, I mean, I look at it like, if this happened during the one show, would there just be a quick brief, let's just, thank you very much, Dee. It is a magazine show, so, like, I don't really seem to understand. It's weird, but, and yeah, it does. So I wanted to, again, let's just get through this story, and then we'll talk about it very, very briefly, because I'd like to hear your guys' opinions. Viewers were left outraged this morning when they turned into BBC Breakfast for updates on the Westminster Bridge crash. Dan Walker and Louise Minchin were presenting the show this morning and announced the news almost half an hour after Good Morning Britain and Sky News. After the BBC reported on the initial news, the presenters then switched back to other stories rather than conducting rolling coverage. Viewers took to Twitter to voice their concerns regarding the unfolding live incident. One Twitter user wrote, Sky and ITV reporting on Westminster. Meanwhile, BBC Breakfast interviews a gold medalist and does the weather with a sunny backdrop of flowers. Another added, get your finger out at BBC Breakfast and cover what's happening in central London. Are BBC News asleep this morning? Sky News and even GMB on ITV are beating you hands down at the moment. Referring to an interview with Olympian Dina Asher Smith, one viewer wrote, you okay at BBC? Oh, hello there, Eric Cook, and thank you very much. I can see your message from the YouTubes. Thank you for adding. Sorry, I've got a little bit cold. Thank you for joining the chat, and if you want to share, like, that's what really helps the algorithm over on YouTube. And thanks for joining me over on YouTube. And share it out, obviously, to people that you think will enjoy this on a nightly basis. Where are we? Referring, one viewer wrote, you okay at BBC Breakfast with respect to Dina? Is this the topic of the morning? Oh dear at BBC Breakfast, incident outside Parliament happens about 7:40 AM and GMB have been reporting on the spot since then. But it's now 8:15 AM and not one mention yet on at BBC Breakfast. Another wrote, Good Morning Britain on ITV went immediately to the scene of the crash with senior correspondent Richard Gaisford reporting live from the scene. Although the cause of the crash has not been confirmed, the ITV Awesome Ben's list, that looks like a bot. I can't get rid of bots on here. That's fine. Although the cause of the ITV news programme continued, thank you very much, your followers, to roll coverage. Oh, we're going to keep flowing through, Eric, so I'm going to quickly just briefly go over it again and my thoughts, then I'd like to hear you guys. Although the cause of the crash has not been confirmed, the ITV news programme continues to roll coverage from the scene, even though the reporter was being pushed away by police. So you can see BBC broadcast, all the tweets. Referring to the difference in coverage, a viewer wrote, interesting the two approaches of GMB and BBC Breakfast. GMB Planet coverage, interviewing passers-by, speculation switched up to 11. BBC Breakfast has just acknowledged something has happened, but no news yet. It was clear viewers were not happy, wanting BBC to increase their report of the Westminster crash. BBC Breakfast, Sky News and ITV have cameras and join us close up. Where are you? One viewer asks on social media. Dan and Louise continued to present the BBC News programme, jumping back to coverage as new information was confirmed. Some audience members were concerned over the relaxed tone. They do look pretty relaxed, and this is at 10:53 on BBC News. So this is some more stuff. Let's get
we're watching this for the first time as you are.
And this is at 10:53 in the morning. Well, let's just let's pop it up. Let's have a look at this video.
That would appear to be the actual car.
So you can see it driving through
as it crashes into the barriers.
And it just crashes into the barriers. But the thing is, and this is at 10:53, remember.
So these are new BBC pictures.
These are new pictures from the BBC.
You can see again.
Let's just let's close that down. So there's a lot of here which is basically wow, 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 wow. Now, as I've kind of gone over the two stories that I wanted to briefly mention, mainly because I felt like this one was, it's the whole fishy thing. So I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but it did seem that the difference in tone between the two, because I've gone back now. Yeah, I've gone back now and watched some of that stuff, and the ITV, maybe it's just that the BBC have grown up. Like, it's weird because you would have expected that rolling footage, and maybe it's because the BBC are in Manchester now. If that was happening in Television Centre, when Television Centre was still based in London, that would have been totally different. They would have had people on the scene straight away. It kind of goes to show the cutbacks that have happened in the BBC as well. I mean, other broadcasters have got people there already, probably just waiting around, and it kind of goes to show how small the BBC is, excuse me, in their field. They haven't really expanded. But on the conspiracy theory stakes, it's a very, very, very good distraction away from what's happening with Boris Johnson at the moment. And I'm surprised that Boris Johnson hasn't come forward with a statement yet, or at least some like vol-au-vents or viscounts, because I think, and this is my belief on what happened, few people drove up from Birmingham to London. They didn't get a hotel, they just slept in their car. They then went on a drive. One of them was drunk maybe, or potentially on some kind of, it does back up the fears. Someone was potentially on drugs. Very welcome, delightful. Potentially that's what's happened. If you look at the video, it doesn't look very malicious, and it doesn't look very much like, it looks like someone lost control of their car and they just happened to be in London. They went on a trip, had a week off work, and yes, Carnival is next week, so this is something that has happened in places like Belgium, like a truck or a van just going through. It does go to and the thing is, what I don't really like is the fact that it was automatically a terrorist thing. I don't feel like it helps, and I don't think I've heard anything from Sadiq Khan yet either. So I'm a little bit behind with that, but I've checked to see on the way up, but I haven't heard anything from Sadiq Khan, and this is kind of bread and butter. London's already like knife crime central, and now it's terrorist central. But yeah, anyone in the chat, I'd like to hear what you have to think about this, because do you think that this was like a practice run? Was this even a terrorist attack? You don't think this is to cancel Carnival? Surely not. But Carnival wouldn't. We shall persevere. I don't think it's. And the thing about Carnival is Carnival isn't traditionally a Muslim event. It's more of a black event, really, isn't it? And I mean, my brother's been to Carnival a few times, Notting Hill, and he's really, really liked it. Like the melting pot, like the different people coming together of different races, genders, gender identities, sexualities, just anyone is welcomed within it. It's massive, and he said that it does get a little bit, but without sounding like doom and gloom. I used to listen a lot to George Carlin, and this kind of links into it. And George Carlin was a comedian who looked at things, it's just another situation of the cops just trying to make a situation more than what it really was from the sound of things. Yeah. Just like in the US, there are certain powers that are available to police if the T word is used. If a T word is used, they automatically go into like Patriot Act style rules. So you can see that straight away, even though those people were in that country, searches happened back at those places. I honestly say for sure, because I don't know every last detail, but if it was a terrorist thing, I'm sure it'd be a lot more widespread. In my opinion, I don't think it was a terrorist attack. I'd have to agree. Joined, hello there, Sebastian Damian. In my opinion, I don't think it was a terrorist act. You're a bot, but thank you very much. And yeah, I don't think that it was a terrorist attack. I think it was, if those guys weren't Asian, that would have just been a terrible accident. And going into one of the stories we're going to go into later on today, it also shows the difference between the US and the UK when it comes to stuff. Like in the US, like it it's the Las Vegas sniper. In the UK, if you've seen the footage now, it's just a guy who kind of just swerves off the road a little bit and hits some bollards and then just stops. There was no like speed. Like if there was speed, you could see that something was happening. But it was just like driving around, and he was like, "Oh shoot, I've gone into the wrong place. Got to be careful." Periscope and YouTube. But yeah, so it seems as if people don't think it was a terrorist attack and that it's just a stupidness that happened. But it was very handy to call it terrorism for certain people. Yes, it very well was. Yes, it very well was. Now, let's change up the story, because I feel like we've spent almost half an hour on just this story. Now, there were other stories, obviously, so let's take you to a new segment, which I'm gonna have to. We're gonna take it into in other news. In other news, but this is a new version of in other news, which is, if I can get it set up. I haven't got all of this ready, but we're gonna make do. Well, screw it, we'll do it live. Let's get that off, and let's get that off, and let's get this in, and let's get her off. So let's go to in other news, the entertainment edition. So I wanted to have like, oh, actually I might be able to get it ready because, whoop, let's just turn off. I used to work as a projectionist, so you call this thing the dowser when you don't want people to see what you're doing. You have to close the dowser. So let's find, where was it? Okay, downloads. And here we go. To pop this on the screen, it makes it feel a little bit more real. So, here we go. In other news, entertainment news. Now, entertainment news today, got some really, really fun ones, actually. So, first of all, we're going to be talking about Strictly Come Dancing, because it's a thing. Now, these are bits of news that I couldn't actually talk about yesterday because we ran out of time. But today I'm going to do it a little bit longer. I feel like this show is more of a 45-minute. So let's get to the first story of in other news. And let's just check in the chat. Oh, yep. Okay, so in other news, where are you, Chroma Warmer? In other news. Now, I feel like I have to do at least one Love Island story. Love Island, we can talk about Adam Maxted Flex. Love Island's Samira Mighty dumps Frankie Foster amid claims he cheated on Wild Night Out. I just want to read it because I want to show you what is distracting the populace at the moment. That sounded really, really pretentious, but these are the stories that are making more headlines than a car crashing into Westminster Parliament and a potential Prime Minister in waiting giving the press cups of tea. Samira Mighty has dumped Frankie Foster just weeks after leaving the Love Island villa to be with him. The pair hit a rough patch after it was claimed the rugby player had kissed another woman during a wild night out over the weekend. A rep for the 22 confirmed the news in a statement to metro.co.uk, explaining she will be focusing on herself from now on. Samira will be taking some time out from a relationship with Frankie to focus on herself and future work employments, it read. There she is, with the dog filter. They have spoken in depth about the recent events, and Samira feels a break for now is the best thing for both of them so they can... Now, I'm just going to end that there, yeah. Because, oh my God, what a waste of time. However, speaking to Dan Wootton on the Talk Radio show, they are everywhere. We met in a nightclub, we went out. The biggest mistake for me and this, what me and Samara have spoken about and I had to apologise about, is that I was in the same room as those two, he said. I was asleep, 3 beds, I was on the far left, they went on that. Who cares? Who bloody cares? McDonald's are hiring? Who's that? Kruber and Dutty, you're alright. McDonald's are hiring. Oh, insane. Insane. So but now let's go to some other entertainment news. Mad Men reunion. Christina Hendricks and John Slattery team up again with creator Matthew Weiner for the highly anticipated new series The Romanovs on the Daily Mail website. I'm really excited about this TV show. I get very excited about TV. I'm a big TV fan, as you may or may not know. I watch a lot of stuff. So I'm kind of interested. I like Mad Men. I didn't watch the whole way through. But on Tuesday, Amazon released a second teaser trailer for their upcoming anthology series, The Romanovs. It's the first new series from Mad Men creator Matthew Weiner, who has decided to once again work with familiar faces, Christina Hendricks. Oh my God, Christina Hendricks, 43, goddamn, and John Slattery, 56. Taking its cue from the name-filled first clip, which was unveiled at the end of July, the new minute-plus video reveals the faces of those starring in the upcoming series. Aaron Eckhart, Diane Lane, and Corey Stoll are also among the mugs that claim their association with the doomed Russian royals of yesteryear in the series from Mad Men creator Matthew Weiner. And got Diane Lane. You got some really much hate to do. I love hearing you talk during broadcast. Really good to go. If that's okay, Eric. If you like and share this out, that's good enough. And then obviously you can come back and watch from this point again. Call before I wanted to ask you to do what you're planning on doing a live stream for a wrestling show. I know SummerSlam is coming up, but I'm not sure when. So SummerSlam is this Sunday, and we will be doing a live stream for NXT on the Saturday night, and also a live stream on the Fowl Original Wrestling channel for SummerSlam, and potentially I might be doing a watch along for World of Sport depending on what I'm doing next Saturday. So yeah, thank you for joining, Eric Cook. Thank you very much. My family is Russian royalty, the Romanovs. So recently got some WWE Network. So awesome, Eric, awesome. I'll also be doing All In as well, September 1st. Geekmed. All right, Johan. Meanwhile, Eckhart nods, my father and brother. So it seems like an interesting show. I'm very, very excited. Aaron Eckhart, Two-Face from The Dark Knight, and it seems like an interesting show. It seems like a very, very, very interesting show. Very, very excited. Now, to the real news that's distracting you all here in the UK. Forget about what's going on in Westminster. Americans love affair with Russia. They really are, aren't they? Like, it's interesting. Like, you've got like, is it The Russians? That show. No, The Americans. Sorry, The Americans with Russian counter spies. It seems as if, I'm guessing a show like this is. Excuse me, I've been drinking a lot today. Shows like this are more of a push to going towards Russia. This is a show that is about the Russian monarchy. Depends how deep they go with it, but the Russians seem to be quite happy to laugh at themselves, and as a populace, as a generality, as a generalization, I don't think they'll have an issue with the show, but it'll be interesting to see, and I guess it gives them a chance to go to Russia. So Strictly Come Dancing 2018 contestants as a new lineup is announced. There's only one person that I care about in this lineup, and Trump will be loving it. It'll be like, oh, Vladimir, have you watched Vladimir, have you watched the new Romanov show? The Romanov show? And he'll be like, yes, I have. I don't know why he sounds like that. So we've got all of the people who will be joining Strictly 2018. I will not be watching the show, but I may watch a few every now and then as a hilariousness to make fun of it. Katie Piper. Who's she? BBC Breakfast. She's probably a weather girl. I don't know. Katie Piper talks about that, so Katie Piper. Faye Tozer. Faye Tozer was confirmed as the second contestant. Faye Tozer. Isn't Faye the one from Steps? She looks alright. I don't know. Weren't you available then? Unfortunately, I wasn't. I'm not Z-list enough for them. The announcement was made on the One Show on Monday evening alongside confirmation that Red Dwarf star Danny John Jules would also be joining the show. There they are, there's Steps. Look at her, she still looks good. Oh. Now I'm a deeper shade of blue, and there's nothing I won't do. You're so far, far away. Now I'm... Anyway, enough of that. Got enough people leaving the chat as it is. Joking that she may be able to perform a Steps track, Faye apologised to friends and family denying she'll be on the show. Blah, blah, blah. So there's Faye Tozer. Danny John Jules, looking amazing. The little hat and everything. I've loved the cat for so long, and all it means if he's doing this show is that there's new Red Dwarf on the way. And then who else have we got? Joe Sugg. Word came, who privately, I don't know. He's a YouTuber. He's a YouTuber, apparently. And who else we got? Is that it? That can't be it. That's not all of the people for... Seems as if they've missed people out. Oh, there's just new contestants have been announced. They haven't all been announced yet. But that's how they keep you from thinking about it. Is so far. There will be more. But Danny John Jules, I'm very, very excited for. I've got a boogie coming down. Excuse me. Let me just switch onto this. Get some tissue. Whoop. Because I do feel self-conscious now. I'm looking and I'm like, oh my god. Now, where is... So as you can see, Fowl Originals Newsround on YouTube. Not as prepared as it normally is, because mainly I didn't get into the house till 10:45. But as I said, I will switch back over. Here we go, and let's find the next story. So let's switch back into normal. Where are we? Normal. In other news, so I wanted to talk about. We've got a few links here. I've got like 5 minutes left, so I'm going to quickly zip through them. So, Westminster. Oh, so we'll leave that till the end. But here we go. Ben Stokes has been found innocent of being in the affray. He's not afraid anymore. He's not afraid anymore, he ain't. Let's just close the browser and get the correct article. I've got all my links here. Let's and we got that one open. Let's just close some of these off. As I said, I'm trying to figure out a way to prep this a little bit faster, but almost there. And then we got one more of that. And I think that one might be a fun one to pop in as well. And so, in other news... Oh, how do I switch it back on? There we go. In other news, Royal Mail fined record £50 million by Ofcom. Ofcom has fined Royal Mail a record £50 million for breaching competition law. The fine is for its actions in 2014 when Whistle, which was then known as TNT, was trying to become its first competitor in wholesale mail delivery. The regulator's investigation, which followed a complaint by Whistle, said Royal Mail had abused its dominant market position and discriminated against the company. Whistle is seeking damages, but Royal Mail said it will challenge the fine. Ofcom's investigation found that Royal Mail price rises in 2014 meant any of the wholesale customers would have had to pay for it, yada, yada, yada. I don't really want to go too much into this, but after rising in morning trading, Royal Mail shares were down 1.4. So basically they're being investigated and have been fined £50 million. In other news, a Winnipeg man flies nearly 3,000 kilometres in the wrong direction after getting on the wrong flight to the Arctic. Let's pull up this story. Shareholders will get it. Of course they will. Of course they will. Christopher Paitko, bound for Inuvik, flies to Iqaluit by accident. I spent so long practicing that. Christopher thought he boarded a plane in Yellowknife. He was heading to Inuvik, and that ended up in Iqaluit. A Winnipeg man says a weekend flight to the Arctic ended up being the longest flight of his life after a mix-up on the tarmac sent him nearly 2,300 kilometres in the wrong direction. Christopher Paitkow, an adventure and wildlife photographer and filmmaker, was heading from Yellowknife to Inuvik on Sunday when he accidentally boarded a flight to Iqaluit, 2,260 kilometres in the other direction. Somehow I managed to get on the wrong plane, airplane going in the wrong direction. That's not an accident. I actually ended up thousands of kilometres east of Inuvik. That's pretty far in the wrong direction. Computers were down. You can see like a picture of here about where he was supposed to be going to and where he did go. Computers were down. The filmmaker left Winnipeg on Saturday around 6 AM and stopped in Calgary before heading to Yellowknife. He stayed there the night and was set to board a first air flight Sunday morning that would take him 1,100 kilometres northwest. Instead, he flew the other way. Patco says when he arrived, you can see his ticket here. Patcourt says when he arrived at the airport in Yellowknife, the computers at the airline kiosk were down and staff were entering ticket information manually. I'm standing at gate 4 and I see that there was 3 airplanes that are sitting out there on the tarmac and also 3 boarding calls happening simultaneously pretty much at gate 4, and they're all final calls, he said. After being told to wait around 15 minutes while staff sorted things out, Patco said he made his way back to the ticket booth where they checked his ID and the flight manifest and sent him out onto the tarmac. After 15 minutes, people started moving out, and I'm thinking, is this my flight? People are leaving. I need to get on this flight. So now he's just following. But he's had a great time, and I don't want to go through the whole story because it's a very long story. But he's a filmmaker, so he's made the best of it, and he's filmed stuff, and he's gone around, and what a fun mix-up. In other news, Google tracks users who turn off location history. I thought this was very interesting. Google records users' locations even when they have asked it not to. A report from the Associated Press has suggested the issue could affect up to 2 billion Android and Apple devices which use Google for maps or search. The study, verified by researchers at Princeton University, has angered US lawmakers. Google said in response that it provides clear descriptions of its tools and how to turn them off. The study found that users' whereabouts are recorded even when location history has been disabled. For example, Google stores a snapshot of where you are when you open the Maps app. Automatic weather updates on Android phones pinpoint roughly where a user is. Searches that have nothing to do with location pinpoint precise longitude and latitude of users. Pretty sneaky. To illustrate the effect of these location markers, AP created a visual map showing the movements of Princeton researcher Gwan Akar, who was using an Android phone with location history taken off. And it's another one of those things where since 2014, Google has let advertisers track the effectiveness of online adverts with a feature based on footfall data, which relies on location history. If you have a smartphone, then if you have a smartphone, then basically what you are automatically doing is you are allowing people to see your location at all times and what you're doing. You just have to kind of make peace with that. Now, I think I'm going to take you to "and finally," because I think then that will take us into the hour mark. Oh, actually no, we started at 1:45, didn't we? Takes under 45 minutes. Everyone is chipped. We are already chipped. We're already going around. We've got our IDs, got our smart cards, and yeah. Now, I want to leave you with this story, which is, excuse me, got a little bit of crime on there. Teenager recovers after lightning strike in Arizona. So this is a video that was popped up 42 minutes ago. So I'm going to pop this on the screen. Oop. And let's pop that over. So this is, pop my headphone in so I can hear it. This is a video showing a teenager being struck by lightning.
It started kind of raining, so I was going home, and randomly I felt like this burst of like heat, pretty much, and everything went dark, and it just felt like needles, like just constantly being stabbed into me.
I can't exactly explain why he doesn't have any outside burns, but it is.
Just gonna skip along so you can see.
Shout
like,
out to God. If it weren't for him,
there's
I'd
the
be
video.
dead. Like, it's
So
unbelievable.
so yeah, like craziness. This guy being, it's an autoplay. Craziness. A kid surviving an attack by lightning. It's insane. And I wanted to leave you with that, as that's a nice piece of news where someone has survived the maelstrom. So that's the end of the show tonight. I'd like to thank everyone for joining again. Sorry for the lateness of the show. At about 10 to, I might do 10 to 12, I might do a quick Fowl Original Bureau. I'll need to just remember how to get this sorted out to do that. If not, then thank you everyone for joining me today, and I will leave you with... Now, as I said, I've been going through old shows that I really love, and let's leave you with this show. And transition. And as this plays, I will tell you about other things. So this is one of my favourite shows of all time, The Demon Headmaster. And I wanted to say, obviously, if you want to help out the channel, go to fowloriginal.com/support. If you want to send in anything for tomorrow's show, let me know. Just hit me up on Twitter and I'll add them to the format. I'd like to thank everyone for how this is going. I really, really like it. I've stopped swearing as much as well. Yeah, just thank you all for joining. It's fun as hell. This has been Fowl Original. Thanks for watching. Share, like, subscribe. See you next time.